Hey everyone, subscribe to the channel, like and share the videos with others. What if I told you that a man who slept on the streets, with no money, no family, and unable to read, would one day be driving luxury cars and building a millionaire fortune in America? It sounds impossible, but the story you're about to hear proves that a single decision can completely change a life. For years, Daniel lived on the streets of a major American city. He spent his days searching for food in trash bins, sleeping on park benches, and trying to survive the harsh winter cold. People passed by him every day, but almost nobody truly saw him. To most, was just another invisible homeless man. Daniel carried a painful secret. Since childhood, he had never been given the opportunity to study. He grew up in an extremely poor family and left school at a very young age to help support his household. As the years passed, life became harder and harder, until one day he lost his job, lost his home, and ended up living on the streets. One morning, while searching through a dumpster behind a coffee shop, found an old, crumpled newspaper. Normally, he would have used the paper only to protect himself from the cold. But that day something caught his attention. He stared at the printed letters and felt a deep sadness. He realized he could barely understand anything written on the page. At that moment, a question appeared in his mind. How can I change my life if I can't even read the opportunities placed right in front of me? That question echoed inside him for days. Instead of ignoring it, Daniel decided to do something he had never attempted before. Every newspaper he found in the trash, he kept, even without understanding the words. He spent hours studying the letters, trying to recognize patterns and compare sentences. Some people laughed at him. Others said it was a waste of time. But Daniel kept going. At a public library, he discovered he could enter for free. A staff member noticed his determination and showed him children's books designed to help adults learn how to read. It was the first time in many years that someone truly believed in him. Every morning he studied a few pages. Every afternoon he practiced words he found in newspapers. And every night he repeated letters and sounds until he fell asleep. Months passed slowly, but something extraordinary began to happen. Words that once looked like meaningless symbols started making sense. Complete sentences became understandable. And for the first time in his life, Daniel read an entire newspaper headline by himself. The feeling was so powerful that he cried. But what he found in that newspaper would change everything. Between advertisements and news articles, Small Story described ordinary men and women who had started small businesses and transformed their lives through knowledge. Daniel read that article over and over again, until he memorized every line. That was the moment an impossible dream was born. He didn't just want to leave the streets behind. He wanted to build a company. And it was at that exact moment that his true transformation began. The next morning, Daniel woke up before sunrise. He folded the newspaper carefully and placed it inside his worn backpack. That article had ignited something inside him that he had never felt before: hope. For years, he had believed that success belonged only to people who were born with money, education, or powerful connections. But now he had discovered a different possibility. What if knowledge could become his path out of poverty? Every day after studying at the library, Daniel began paying close attention to businesses around the city. He watched coffee shop owners open their stores. He observed delivery drivers rushing through the streets. He noticed construction crews, food vendors, and repair technicians. He asked questions. Most people ignored him. Some told him to leave. But a few took the time to answer. Little by little, he learned how businesses worked. He learned about customers, services, pricing, and profit. He carried a small notebook and wrote down everything he could remember. One afternoon, while helping an elderly man carry boxes into a small warehouse, Daniel was offered $20 for his work. To most people, it wasn't much money. To Daniel, it felt like a fortune. Instead of spending it immediately, he made a decision. He would use every dollar to build a better future. Over the following weeks, he accepted every small job he could find: cleaning sidewalks, carrying supplies, loading trucks, sweeping storage rooms. The work was exhausting, but each day brought him closer to his goal. Soon, had saved enough money to buy second-hand clothes that looked professional. For the first time in years, he walked into businesses looking clean and confident. People began treating him differently. Doors that had once been closed started opening. One day, local business owner named Michael noticed Daniel's determination. After hearing his story, Michael offered him a part-time position organizing inventory inside a warehouse. The pay wasn't high, but Daniel saw something more valuable than money: opportunity. He arrived earlier than everyone else and left later than everyone else. He worked harder than anyone expected. Within months, his supervisors trusted him with more responsibility. He learned how products were ordered, how inventory was tracked, and how companies managed their finances. Every lesson became another piece of the puzzle. At night, while others relaxed, Daniel continued studying business books, marketing books, biographies of successful entrepreneurs. He became obsessed with learning. Then, one evening, while reviewing company reports, he noticed a recurring problem. Many small businesses struggled to organize their storage spaces efficiently. Products were often lost. Orders were delayed. Money was wasted. Most employees ignored the issue. Daniel saw an opportunity. The idea kept growing in his mind. What if he could create a service that helped businesses organize warehouses more efficiently? The thought excited him, but it also terrified him. He had no investors, no college degree, no business experience, and almost no savings. Still, remembered the homeless man who couldn't even read a newspaper. Compared to that challenge, this one seemed possible. So Daniel took the biggest risk of his life. Using nearly all the money he had saved, he printed simple flyers advertising warehouse organization services. Then he started knocking on doors. The first business rejected him. The second rejected him. The third rejected him too. Weeks passed. Dozens of rejections followed. Many people told him he would fail. Some laughed directly in his face. But Daniel refused to quit. Because deep inside, he believed that success might be only one opportunity away. And then, one unexpected phone call changed everything. The phone rang early on a rainy Tuesday morning. Daniel almost didn't answer. Most of the calls he received were wrong numbers or businesses politely rejecting his services. But this call was different. A small manufacturing company had received one of his flyers. The owner was frustrated with constant inventory problems and agreed to give Daniel a chance. It wasn't a large contract. In fact, the payment was modest. But to Daniel, it felt like the opportunity he had been waiting for. He arrived at the warehouse before anyone else and spent hours studying every shelf, box, and storage area. He created a simple but effective organization system designed to reduce wasted time and lost products. For several days, he worked tirelessly. When the project was completed, the results surprised everyone. Employees found products faster. Orders were shipped more efficiently. The company saved money. The owner was impressed. A week later, that same owner recommended Daniel to another business. Then another. And another. Word began spreading. Soon, Daniel was no longer searching for customers. Customers were searching for him. His small service business started growing faster than he ever imagined. For the first time in his life, he opened a business bank account. For the first time, he signed contracts with clients. For the first time, he saw real money entering his company. But Daniel never forgot where he came from. Every night he remembered the cold benches, the empty stomach, and the newspaper he had found in the trash. Those memories pushed him to work even harder. As demand increased, he hired his first employee. Then a second. Then an entire team. What started as one homeless man knocking on doors became a rapidly growing company helping businesses improve warehouse operations across multiple cities. Years passed. The company expanded. Revenue increased. New contracts arrived every month. Daniel invested carefully, continued learning, and focused on delivering exceptional results. Eventually, his business reached millions of dollars in annual revenue. The same people who once ignored him now wanted to hear his story. The same type of companies that once rejected him now competed to work with him. One afternoon, after attending a major business conference, Daniel walked into a luxury car dealership. Years earlier, he had passed similar dealerships while sleeping on sidewalks outside. Back then, he never imagined he could own one of those vehicles. Now everything was different. After signing a few documents, he drove away in a brand new luxury car. As he looked through the windshield, he remembered the day he found that newspaper in the trash. That single moment had changed everything. Not because the newspaper contained magic, not because success arrived overnight, but because he made a decision. He chose to learn. He chose to improve. He chose not to give up. Years later, Daniel launched programs that helped homeless individuals gain literacy and job skills. He donated books to libraries and funded educational projects in underserved communities. People often asked him the secret behind his success. His answer never changed. The day I learned to read, I stopped seeing obstacles and started seeing opportunities. And perhaps that's the most powerful lesson of all. A person's future is not defined by where they start. It is defined by the choices they make when nobody believes in them. The homeless man who once searched through trash for survival eventually built a fortune. But the greatest treasure he ever found wasn't money. It was knowledge. And it all began with a forgotten newspaper lying inside a dumpster.